The world of finance is often built on a fragile foundation of confidence. And today, that foundation didn't just crack, it shattered. It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday that will be remembered in history books as a day of absolute carnage. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the pulse of the American economy, is in a state of freefall, hemorrhaging over 1,100 points in a single session. Across the nation, from the glass towers of Manhattan to small-town credit unions, the word liquidity has become a nightmare. Banks are scrambling. Investors are watching decades of savings evaporate in hours, and the air is thick with the scent of a 2008-style catastrophe. But while the screens on Wall Street were bleeding red, a different kind of energy was surging in Youngstown, Ohio. Amidst this economic apocalypse, Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States, a man who was removed from office by a Senate conviction only 14 months ago, stepped onto a massive flag-draped stage. He didn't come to offer sympathy. He came to claim vindication. In front of a sea of 50,000 roaring supporters, he didn't just speak. He launched a campaign that many thought was legally and politically impossible. He is running for president in 2028. To understand the weight of this moment, we have to look at the numbers that are terrifying every American household. In just 48 hours, U.S. markets have shed nearly 19% of their value. This isn't just a dip or a correction. This is a wipeout. Retirement accounts or 401ks are shrinking so fast that people are afraid to log into their banking apps. The news cycle is dominated by one terrifying phrase: bank stress. In the middle of this widespread fear, Trump's appearance was perfectly timed. He didn't wait for the dust to settle. He stood in the eye of the storm. For his followers, he wasn't just a candidate. He was a prophet. His opening line was a blunt, unapologetic hammer blow. "I warned you this would happen." This wasn't a standard political speech. This was a counteroffensive. Trump framed the current crisis not as an accident of global markets, but as the direct consequence of his removal from power. He positioned himself as the living proof that the system failed when it rejected him. The core of Trump's 2028 launch was built on a comparison of two realities. He began by painting a vivid, almost haunting picture of the current economic freefall. He spoke of citizens lining up to secure their cash, of the uncertainty of mortgages, and the looming shadow of unemployment. He described it as the worst collapse in modern financial history. And for those watching their bank balances drop, his words felt like the only truth they were hearing. Then came the "I told you so" moment. Trump reminded the crowd that during his exit, he had predicted that the policies of the administration replacing him would lead to destabilization. He argued that the current leadership didn't just inherit a problem. They created one by dismantling his economic architecture. According to his narrative, the market crash isn't just a financial event. It's a verdict on the 2026 impeachment and removal. To drive his point home, Trump turned to the gospel of numbers. He walked the audience through a historical retrospective of his 4 years in office. He reminded them that under his watch, the Dow Jones climbed from a modest 19,000 to a staggering 38,000. He highlighted the 3.4% unemployment rate, a 50-year low, and the fact that inflation, the silent thief of the middle class, was kept firmly in a cage. "These are not opinions," he told the crowd. "These are facts. Numbers don't lie." He used large screens to display charts that looked like a mountain range, a steady, steep climb during his presidency, followed by a jagged, terrifying drop after his removal. The visual impact was undeniable. To the 50,000 people in that arena, the blue and red lines on the screen were more than data. They were the difference between a comfortable life and a struggle for survival. If the first half of the speech was about blame, the second half was about hope, or as critics call it, the great promise. Trump didn't just say he would fix the economy. He gave a deadline: 6 months. He claimed that within 180 days of being sworn back into office, he would restore economic stability. His plan? A radical return to America First economics. Massive deregulation, cutting the red tape that he claims is strangling American business. Tax incentives, lowering taxes to stimulate domestic production. Energy dominance, expanding American oil and gas production to lower costs. Trade renegotiation, forcing global partners into deals that favor American workers. To an economist, a 6-month turnaround for a multi-trillion-dollar economy sounds like science fiction. But to a voter who can't afford groceries today, 6 months sound like a lifeline. It offers something that the current administration is struggling to provide: certainty. Perhaps the most aggressive part of the evening was when Trump addressed his removal from office. He didn't shy away from it. Instead, he leaned into it. He described his conviction as a politically motivated hit job by an establishment that was terrified of his success. But he didn't stop at the Democrats. He turned his sights on his own party. He specifically called out the 17 Republican senators who voted to convict him in February 2026. Names like Romney, Murkowski, and Collins were met with thunderous boos. Trump made it clear his 2028 campaign is a two-front war. He isn't just running to beat the Democrats. He's running to purge the Republican Party of anyone who betrayed the movement. He promised that every single one of those senators would face a primary challenger backed by his MAGA machine. This is a crucial detail for your viewers. Trump is reshaping the entire political landscape in real time. While Trump was speaking, something strange happened. Something that even his harshest critics couldn't ignore. As he exited the stage to the sounds of "Hold on, I'm coming," the Dow futures, which have been deep in the red during after-hours trading, suddenly began to move. Within 15 minutes of the speech ending, futures jumped 400 points. By the time the sun set over Ohio, the markets had recovered 800 points from their daily lows. Was this a rational response to a political speech? Or was it the Trump effect, a psychological surge based on the hope of a policy shift? Traders seem to be betting on the possibility of a return to the deregulation and tax cuts of the previous era. Even though the election is 18 months away, the mere thought of a Trump comeback acted as a temporary floor for a collapsing market. The Biden administration didn't stay silent. By 4 p.m., a formal statement was issued from the White House. They didn't hold back. They reminded the public that Trump was removed for constitutional violations and an unprecedented abuse of executive power. The administration's narrative is very different. They attribute the current market crash to broader structural issues, specifically a crisis in the commercial real estate market and global inflationary pressures that began long ago. They called Trump's announcement opportunistic, accusing him of using a national crisis for personal political gain. This sets up the ultimate, she said, of the 2028 cycle. One side says the crash is because Trump left. The other side says the crash is a global event that Trump is simply exploiting. Early data suggests that Trump's strategy might be working. A poll released shortly after the rally showed Trump leading a hypothetical 2028 matchup by a significant margin. His base is more energized than ever, and his fundraising numbers are astronomical, reportedly raising $4.7 million in just the first 5 hours post-announcement. But the path to 2028 is paved with what-ifs. Scenario: the economy continues to decline. If things get worse, Trump's "I warned you" message becomes an unstoppable political force. He cruises to the nomination and potentially the White House. Scenario B: the economy recovers. If the Federal Reserve and the Treasury manage to stabilize the markets by the late 2026 or 2027, Trump's central argument loses its teeth. The rescue mission narrative falls apart. Scenario C: legal hurdles. Being a removed president running for office is uncharted legal territory. There will undoubtedly be Supreme Court challenges regarding his eligibility to serve again. As we stand here today, 18 months out from the most consequential election in American history, one thing is certain. The rules of politics have been rewritten. We are no longer just choosing a leader. We are choosing a philosophy. On one side, you have the constitutionalists who believe that accountability and the rule of law are the most important pillars of the nation, regardless of the economic cost. On the other side, you have the pragmatists who believe that a strong economy and financial stability are the only things that truly matter to the average family. Donald Trump is betting his entire legacy on the idea that when people are losing their homes and their savings, they won't care about a Senate conviction from 2 years ago. He is betting that prosperity outweighs past controversy. Will the "I warned you" campaign lead him back to the Oval Office? Or will the American people decide that the price of his return is too high for the Constitution to pay? This story is moving faster than the markets. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand how these political shifts are affecting your wallet and your future, you need to be part of this community. What do you think? Can a removed president actually pull off the greatest comeback in history? Or is the 18-month window too long for this momentum to last? I'm reading every single comment, so let's get the discussion started below. If you found this deep dive valuable, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm show this analysis to more people. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on all notifications. We will be here every step of the way as the 2028 race unfolds. Thanks for watching and stay vigilant.